The video I'm about to show you is very disturbing. It's of Brandy Vaughan, the ex-employee of Merck Pharmaceutical, who is a whistleblower. She has the organization learntherisk.org, and she was found dead yesterday. In this video, she documents the intimidation tactics that were taking place within her home and around her in order to silence her. At the end of the video, she says that she will not stop, that these mandatory vaccinations are for profit and not for public health. Keep that in mind when watching this video, that Merck is the vaccine company that makes the MMR vaccine, the measles, mumps, rubella vaccine. I've screen recorded this video because of the censorship and because so many videos are disappearing. I encourage you to do the same. Please share this video. We owe it to Brandy to keep this fight going.
Hi, I'm Brandy Vaughan, and for those of you who don't know me, I have been an activist speaking out against SB 277 here in California.
Wow, what happened to our rights?
Yeah.
How did I sit back and let this happen?
Yeah.
This is a very slippery slope.
In this fight, I have been under a little bit of heat, and I wanted to document this just in case. I wanted to show some of the intimidation tactics that I've been under.
There is a lot of shady stuff that goes on behind the scenes.
I got involved in this fight because I used to work for Merck here in Santa Barbara where I live, and I worked there from 2001 until 2003, and I sold Vioxx for Merck. Vioxx was eventually taken off the market, and it was proven that Merck had knowledge that it increased heart attacks and stroke by 2 times, and it injured and killed a lot of people. It was eventually pulled off the market, and I lost a lot of faith in the healthcare system. I went to Europe, and then I came back with a 6-month-old son, and I was bullied at the pediatrician's office in San Francisco when I asked to see vaccine inserts and questions about them. That was a huge red flag for me because I already had mistrust of doctors and the healthcare system in general and pharma. And so I did a lot of research, and that was 4 years ago, and that was where my vaccine research started. And I realized that they were not very safe, actually, and not very effective, and I chose not to vaccinate my son. So when I heard about SB 277 in California, I decided that it was important that my voice was heard and that I was speaking up against it and part of the fight. So when I made that decision 3 months ago, I know that I knew I was going to take some heat for it, but I wasn't quite sure how much heat. And so I'm making this video today to describe the intimidation tactics that have been used against me to try and silence me. The first one happened when I was coming back from the Capitol rally in Sacramento against SB 277.
We're not going away! We're not going away! We're not going away! We're not going away!
And I came home with a friend to my hide key being on my doorstep, open to the key. And the story behind this was a year ago when I bought my house, I hid that deep in the bushes, and 6 months ago I had looked for it because I thought, well, it's probably not a good idea to have a key to my house right outside my door. I couldn't find it, but when I came back from Sacramento, that one time, it was about 2 months ago, that the key was on my doorstep, open to the key. That day I had my locks changed, and I called an alarm service, and I installed a $3,000 alarm system 2 days later. So what happened apparently is someone opened the door, the front door, went through the front door, picked the lock, and my alarm went off, and they immediately disarmed it with the master code, which nobody had but me. I made sure nobody else had that code, and they disarmed it at the panel with that code. Panels inside. according to the alarm company, at 3:45 in the morning, somebody entered in through the front door, the alarm went off. They disabled the alarm by putting in the master code right away into the panel. And then at 3:46 in the morning, my hallway monitor sensor went off. So someone went down the hall. And then at 3:48, someone opened my dining room window and then closed it right away. And then if you notice, the dining room window actually faces out towards the backyard, which is much more private than the front door, which they used to enter that time. And then they went over to the keypad, entered the code again, and then left through the front door at 3:49. After the incident, I talked to some security experts who have actually done intimidation for corporations, and they explained a few things. They said, well, A, they were probably tapping your place, so everything I say and do in here is listened to, if not watched. And then opening of the back window, because it's a much more private way to get in for future reference, for future visits. When I did return home, and the police came in and made sure nobody was here, and then I came in after the alarm was set off, after the break-in. And what I did notice was they had left this window unlocked, like this. And before I left for Sacramento, all of the windows and doors were locked, double locked actually. I went through twice to make sure that they were locked. So after that happened, I didn't really feel comfortable sleeping in my house again, because of course they could come in and disarm my alarm whenever they wanted. There wasn't really another way to secure the system. I changed the code, but again, who knows how they got the code in the first place. The security expert is pretty convinced that the house is tapped, my phone is being listened to, my conversation, my text messages, and then my computer, both my computers as well. The next thing that happened actually was with my computer. So one of the things that the police wanted to know was if anything was taken in the break-in. Of course, nothing was, because they weren't here to take anything. I did have a computer here in a hiding spot, and when the police were here, I did actually come and look to make sure the computer was still here, and it's here above the microwave is its hiding spot. It's not a place anyone would know to look for the computer, and it's not, you know, especially in being here in only 4 minutes. 2 days later, after that happened, after the break-in happened, I walked into my place to move some stuff out, and the computer was taken from its hiding place and put in the middle of the floor. And so I came back home to pick up some stuff. I wasn't staying here any longer. And that message was there, which was obviously very scary, because clearly somebody had been listening in, if not watching, as to where the computer was. So after that, I decided that it would be best to get out of town, and I left town for a couple of weeks and really went off the grid for a good part of that. So after the computer incident and leaving town for 2 weeks, the day that I came back, I had a friend come with me, and him and I arrived at my place and found a ladder open right in front of my door, looking into the windows, the bedroom window. Now, this is my ladder, but this ladder lives in the garage. So it was clear that somebody had accessed the garage, brought out the ladder through the side of my house, opened it, looking right up into the window, and this happens to be the only window that I had blinds open. So that was quite a message. The security experts said, wow, what a better message than to say we're watching you. And this actually happened the day that I came back into town, so they clearly knew that, well, it happened the night before. They clearly knew when I was coming back. The neighbor who was feeding my dogs came over after half an hour after we found the ladder, and she asked, so what's with the ladder? And I said, I don't know. I mean, I didn't put it there. And she said, well, it wasn't there yesterday. So it means that it happened the night before I came back into town after 2 weeks. So clearly they are watching. The next incident was just 2 days later, and that's in the garage. This Buddha was on the floor. Normally the Buddha is pretty heavy. It was on here on top of the dog cage, holding the towel to cover it up at night for the dogs. So it was taken off of here, and there's really no way it could have fallen because, I mean, it's actually really heavy, and if it had fallen, it would have fallen, you know, some different way. But I walked in and I found it right there on the ground. The pictures were also knocked over. So then 2 days later, I noticed it first through the kitchen window, and it's not something I have ever seen before, but there is a duck. On my table. And when I talked to the security experts, I said, I don't understand the duck. And then it came to me that I had been on my phone having a lot of conversations about people asking me, you know, are you staying at your house? What are you going to do? And I used the term repeatedly, well, I'm not staying at my house. I feel like a sitting duck because they can get in at any time. And, you know, I'm a sitting duck. And so that was actually quite disturbing to come home to. Now I have a duck. I have never seen it before. It's not mine. Nobody else is having access that would bring a duck. It's a clear message that, again, they are watching me. And the intimidation is quite, you know, intimidating. And it's quite scary. So after all of these intimidation tactics, it's very hard to feel safe and secure, but I am not gonna go away. I mean, I'm not gonna be silenced because these are important issues and we need to expose what's really going on behind the mandatory vaccination bills. It has nothing to do with public health. It has everything to do with profit. And I hope that we can all continue this fight. We may have lost the battle, but we still have a war to win. And hopefully by documenting this intimidation, they won't be able to get away with it in the future with me and with anyone else who speaks out. There is some evil going on here.